this real quick so I can use my clicker. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name's Andy Magnus. I'm a former IRS agent and trainer. I'm also a speaker, author, a humorist, and a cartoon tie collector. Anytime you see me, I'll be wearing a cartoon tie. I have a rather extensive collection of something close to 3,000 different cartoon ties. I'm a nationally known tax and small business advisor, and my experience actually as an IRS agent and as a business advisor and CPA has really given me a unique perspective on how to deal with all the challenging situations we currently find ourselves in. My company is Proactive Tax Pros, and we help business owners keep more of what they earn so they can grow their business and enjoy their life. So, because the tax return for most people is just looking back and ratting on yourself to the government, but the financial data you have also allows the business owner to better manage their current operations and navigate a more fulfilling future. And that's kind of what we do with our clients to help them grow a better business. I do have a disclaimer here, and the disclaimer basically says, hey, what we're giving you is tax information. We're not giving you tax advice. That requires a whole lot deeper level of knowing of your business. So you got to understand that I'm just giving you information. It may have changed in the last actually 10 minutes as far as we know, because the government has been doing that to us lately. And but you're getting the best information I have at this moment. And so by attending this seminar, you're acknowledging this is the little button when you do the software that says, if you're here, you're agreeing that I'm not giving you tax advice. So, okay. So we have the COVID-19 that has definitely been a game changer for our businesses. We're going to go through a lot of things today. There's a full 30 minutes, and I'll do my best to keep us be done at 8 o'clock. I'll have questions. If you can stay, we'll run questions as long as you have questions. We'll do that at the end. If you want a copy of the slides, my email address is at the bottom. Please send me an email. We'll be glad to send you the slides. And we'd like to add you to our email list. If you don't want that, please let us know that in your communication with us. So the only thing really constant we're dealing with is change. Change is going to happen because we're not going to stay the same. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get worse. And we just may as well get used to it, because things don't, they just don't stay the same. We wouldn't want them to. And the changes we have really been impacting a lot of areas of our lives. Business as usual with our clients, no, that's changed. Our financial situations for most of us have changed. The taxes have changed. I've been doing this for decades, and the tax changes every year, sometimes every week. That's a whole nother talk. The government has given out some money, but they've got rules and regulations with us. Some of these changes are evoking emotions and fear and other things. If you listen to the media, you'll probably get a lot of fear going on. It affects the HR and employees in our company. Some we've had to furlough, some we've had to put on part-time. There's a lot of people dealing with unemployment, having the stay-at-home rules. Now we've had family and children situations certainly has been changed. We now get to appreciate what our kids' teachers are going through, and maybe that's a whole new appreciation. And of course, the workplace has changed. We're all doing this, it used to be we'd all get together and hug and shake hands and everything, and we're doing this on Zoom now. So, and a lot of people are working from home, and that may change things in the future. All of these changes may have caused us to change our philosophies and our thinking. So with all this going on, how's that impact our business? So in the middle of all this changes, of course, lies incredible opportunity if we'll only stop and look for it. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, because it's easy to say, gee, ain't it awful? But the reality isn't for us, our businesses to succeed. We actually have to embrace the change and see where is it that we can do to come out the other side even better. So the goals for today is for you to have some additional awarenesses on what's going on in your business and how some possibilities of what you can do to change them, taking a look at some of the resources you have and may not realize you have, and get some clarity on what's going on today and in the future. and there'll be a piece at the end because the topic of financial discussions has been SBA loans. Thank you, Mark. And we want to take your business and make sure you go from struggling to surviving to thriving. And the quality of our life and our business actually is not really as much of what happens, but how we respond to it. Many times we react, and that's entirely different. There's times reaction's good. If you're stepping out in the middle of the street and you see a car coming, it's always good to step back and not go, well, gee, that car is coming at me, and perhaps I should do something about that. Yeah, there's times reactions are good, but you're better off responding when at all possible. Albert Einstein says we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And yes, to some degree, we've created some of our own problems. Hate to tell you that, but yes, there are other things that have also impacted us. So we're going to have to start changing our thinking some to be able to come out of this well. So we're going to have to stop, look, and listen, and then plan. So to see where we are, to hear what's going on, listen to our clients, and then create a plan that will allow us to succeed on our way through it. There's major areas that we look at in planning. It says, we go back and do some basic things that we, may not have looked at in many years because we've been doing our business. And, let's go back and revisit, why are we in business? Because this is a good time to look at that. We may have been so busy we haven't thought about that in many years. We also have to reevaluate our customer and client needs, because clearly that may have changed. We need to make some adjustments in our business. We need to make some, adapt on how we're working with our team and look at our resources and systems. Then we need to measure, evaluate, and adapt. That's a lot in 30 minutes. So we'll just hit the high points. What I'd like for you to do is just, if you would, whatever resonates for you as we're going through, come back and visit that for yourself. So those who fail to plan are really planning to fail. If you're just operating on automatic pilot or in reactive mode, you're not going to succeed to the level that you possibly could. It may be okay, but it's not going to be stellar. So what we've got to do is basically make the time that we to really look at some things. And those of you who know the Stephen Covey quadrants, we need to take time for our quadrant 2 things, the things that are important, but they're not urgent. So we all have 24/7. It's how we allocate our time. Time, unlike money, once it's spent, you cannot recover it. Money you can always make back. And then we need to get into action. And Mr. Newton taught us that an object in motion remains in motion, an object at rest remains at rest. If you're sitting back and waiting for something to happen, it'll be much more difficult for you to implement in your business than if you're doing something and moving forward. So let's go back to basics. Be very intentional in all areas of our business. The great coach Vince Lombardi used to start with basics with his football team every year. He'd start off and stand in front of the team at the beginning of the year and hold the football up and say, gentlemen, this is a football. You don't get more basic than that. So we're wanting to look at, first thing is, let's reevaluate. Why are we in business? We were excited when we went into business at first, but things change. Why are you in business today? Take a look at, you knew when you started, too often we get busy working in the business and not on the business. So take a little time and look at it. If you haven't seen the Simon Sinek video, the TED Talk, Start With Why, that's a good place to start. Then we look at who is our best customer or client. So I want you to think about that for just a minute and answer that question. Who's your best customer or client? You got a name? If it's not your name, you need to rethink that. We've got to be our own best customer or client to take care of our business. Then we have our other customers and clients, obviously, because we can't be the only one. But we've got to take care of ourselves, and it's not being selfish. That's, we've got to take care of ourselves so we can take care of our clients. If we don't do that, we're not going to be in business for very long. So we now have to also say, what do our clients need? And those needs more than likely have changed in the last 3 months. Would you agree? And because of that, we need to go back and perhaps this would be a good time for a survey of your customers. But I would also recommend to you the top 20% of your customers, you give them a call. Because as we know, communication, very little of communication has to do with words, okay? The words are just a portion of it, but the words are not everything. How many times have you sent a text or an email and the other person totally misread it? The other parts of communication we have is, of course, tone. We have, we have the tempo that we're talking at. The energy that we have comes through when we're talking to people. So talking to your clients in person, your bigger ones, your better clients, I would recommend that. Well, let's take an example of how words can be deceiving. So I want you to read this one. And if you're just reading the words, there are 3 words. How many ways can we misinterpret those? Well, let's see. We can say, I'm so excited, or I'm so excited. Or be sarcastic. Yeah, I'm so excited. Same words, very, very different in how they're interpreted. So be careful when you're writing that you're conveying the message that you want. Once you've made your changes, you've evaluated what your clients are giving you, and then deciding how to adapt your business, it's important to set clear expectations, not only with yourself, but with your clients, so that everybody knows the rules have changed and they're not expecting what they used to get from what's happening now. So, let's take a look at, what have you been doing? How has it changed? And then how do we adapt for that to be able to help our business grow? Take some time with it and reflect on it. I would encourage you to do that. Figure out the best way that you come up with brainstorming. Sit back. Some people meditate. Some people will sit quietly. Some people journal. For me, I think out loud. So I've got to be talking through things. And so I frequently do that. I get some of my great ideas in the shower. But where you get your best thinking done. Take some time, adapt some time, and do that, because it's important to actually devote the time to yourself. So in the planning world, again, we go back to Dr. Einstein. If he only had 1 hour to save the world, he'd spend 55 minutes defining the problem and only 5 minutes finding the solution. How often have we been saying, oh, well, this is what I need to do, and you go off down the path and you're solving the wrong problem. We're treating maybe symptoms more than we are the root cause. So I would recommend to you that, you may want to take some time defining the problem that you really have, because the problem that you think you have may not be the real one that you have. Set a fixed amount of time to do that. So that you don't get, sometimes when we start thinking and reflecting on things, we kind of go down into and get caught in the muck. Allow yourself to trust your instincts and go with some first answers. And then once you've come up with those, then you have some time to maybe do analysis. And you might want to reflect on the different areas of your business. Oh, good. Set down the clicker and it changes on me. You've got the delivery of your product or service, you've got the marketing, and then you've also got the area that you want to reflect on, which is the area that most people don't like in their business, but it's the one that it's the glue that holds many things together, is the admin. And then, of course, the management of your business. And take a look at each one, take a look at each area. Ask yourselves, what are the 2, maybe 3 things that we really need to address most? Then prioritize them. By prioritizing, we take that list and we go, okay, is number 1 more important than number 2? Yes, no. Okay, yeah, number 1's most important. Okay, then we go 1 to 3. Which one's most important? Whoa, 3 is. Okay. So we then do our prioritization. It's kind of like going to the eye doctor. You go, this one or this one. Same kind of concept. And then when you do that, you get the top 3 from each of these areas, and then you'll do that for the firm and determine which one you really need to address first. We want to get a big picture, find out what will make the biggest impact, because that's where we need to start. It's not where we need to finish. And also remember that a clever person solves a problem, a wise person avoids it. So in your planning, ask yourself, okay, this is what happened when we hit COVID. How can we avoid something like that happening in the future? So in evaluating how we're going to deal with these things, you do a SWOT analysis. It's your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And take a look at each of those, see what resources you have, and who is it that can do that best. There may be things that you do best. There may be things that other people are going to do better than you. But evaluate those your resources. It may be that, things you may be able to do in-house. There may be some things that you find out where your weaknesses are. You need to get somebody else to do that. A common mistake I've seen in small businesses is they go, well, I can't afford that. Or, this is something I can do my own QuickBooks. Yeah, you could. And at the same time, if you spent that time you're doing your QuickBooks, if you were doing marketing or delivery of sales, could you more than pay for the services you're getting? Because after all, unless you're an accountant, when you're doing your books for yourself, chances are you're getting an amateur job. Leave this to professionals. Don't try this at home. Okay. So then you try and look at what do I want this to look like in 3 months from now? Because right now going a 3-year plan may be a little unrealistic as fast as things are changing. And then ask yourself, what do I got to do in the next month to get to that 3-month view? Then what do I do this week? And now what do I do now? And so we need to then evaluate, adapt, and kind of like shampooing, repeat as needed. Things you want to include in your planning is your workflow and how that work is going to get in and get out of your business. Your cash flow planning right now, because we don't know what our clients and customers are going to do as far as our cash flow. So planning your cash flow is critical, and make sure you're able to measure your results so that you can, again, that which you don't measure, you can't manage. So measuring your results will be critical for you, and develop a relationship with a banker. It's better to develop a relationship with a banker now before you need it, because hopefully you don't need it in the future, but it doesn't hurt. It's kind of like chicken soup. It may not help, but it couldn't hurt. So nod your head, Mark. That's true. Okay. Mark's a banker. And then to take away from this, you're going to ask yourself all of these things that we've considered. And there's a lot of material that we've gone over today. Some of it is going to be, again, something that we talked about today may resonate more than others. But take a look and ask yourself the question that Gary Keller does in his book, The One Thing. He says, what's the one thing that I can do that by doing that one thing, everything else will either be easier or unnecessary? If we had the answer to that, we'd all be millionaires, but it's something to try for and to strive for. And do something now. If you find that you're having problems doing those things, that's something that we do in our advisory service. We do growth and profitability consulting with our clients, as well as doing taxes. So reach out. We'll be glad to talk and see, is that something that we can help you with? Is it a good fit? But we're here. That's what we do. And just remember one thing that Groucho taught us: if you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. Okay. So, one of the things I do to have fun, I have a pun page on Facebook. If that's something you're interested in joining, friend me if you're not friended, or let me know. I'd be glad to invite you. There's some of the posts are really entertaining. Some of the comments are even more so. So now we're through with that, and we're going to go on to SBA loans and tax laws that have just come in the last few months. Little bit of change going on. Nod your head if you agree. Yep. So let's talk about some of these. And this is a real high overview on what's going on. And, you know, there's a lot more details. And frankly, they do change almost on a daily basis. There's articles and things. And again, everybody has a different opinion on it. I just got a letter to the editor published in the St. Louis Business Journal on disagreeing with one of the articles they posted. So basically, we have the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a forgivable loan that comes through the bank. We have the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, otherwise known as EIDL, that comes through the SBA. And again, this is my best understanding of it because it's moved so fast. You know, I hope I got it right. And then there's certain payroll credits for amount paid for family situations. When you've got people that are that you're paying that, but they're not able to come in because of a family situation, they're having to take care of kids, whatever. There's certain payroll tax credits. That's way beyond the scope of this presentation. So the PPP loans, or the Paycheck Protection Program, basically you take your monthly payroll, multiply 2.5, and that's the amount of the loan. There's paperworks and forms and things you do. You have to have a banker to work with. I'd be glad to provide you with the name. Mark is somebody I've used that I've been very happy with. And you basically take your 2019 941s plus the cost of your health and the cost of your retirement, divide by 12 times 2.5. If you're self-employed, then you're going to take your Schedule C amount and from your 2019 or a draft if you haven't filed, and determine the amount that's subject to self-employment. Same thing with partnerships. And you divide by 12 times 2.5, and that's basically the amount of the loan. It's forgivable if you provide the documentation. And so you take the amount, you take payroll times 2.5, and from that you get to deduct your payroll plus your health benefits and your retirement for the 8 weeks beginning on the day you get the money. You also get to deduct your rent and your utilities. Again, this is real generalized, folks, but it can't exceed 25% to be able to determine the amount that's going to be forgiven. Just know that the amounts forgiven, if you're paying payroll and health benefits and rent and utilities, those amounts that are paid for by the forgiven loan are not going to be deductible. So, but if you think about it, would you rather have the dollars or would you rather have the deductions? Most cases, dollars are, actually in every case, dollars are always better than deductions. You've got to come up with your payroll records. The bank is going to have their own documentation that they're going to require. Every bank, since these are going through the banks, may have different kinds of documentation that they're required. Just make sure you check with your banker. So your payroll records of what you paid for payroll, you know, the proof of what you paid for health benefits and retirements. If you're a Schedule C owner, I'm not sure how you do that, but I'm recommending to my people you make a distribution from your Schedule C and provide that to the bank, and hopefully that will be sufficient to show that that's really what we're paying that's equivalent to payroll. Same thing with partnerships. Again, you just have to come up with proof of those things. If you've got some amount that you're not forgiven, then it needs to be paid off in 2 years at 3.75% interest, and the first payment's deferred. And I've read some things that talk about, you know, the changes to 8 weeks and maybe some additional amounts that you can do. Just pay attention, make sure you keep up on it, or hopefully your advisor is keeping you up on what's going on. On the EIDL loan, Right now, there's no funding currently available except in agriculture, but for many of people, they went, oh yeah, get up to $10,000 in advance. Sure, click here, I'm gonna sign up for that thing. And many people did. That was actually a loan application for an idle loan. And again, that went through. Some people got a small amount of money, $1,000 per employee. Others did not. You know, that all went through SBA for the approval process. The expenses you pay for with the idle loan cannot be duplicating your PPP loan. In the paperwork for the idle, the use of the proceeds, the borrower will use all the proceeds of this loan solely as working capital to alleviate economic injury disaster by the economic injury caused by disaster occurring in the month of January and continuing thereafter. So you really have to justify the need for the loan. I've got some clients that got notified, hey, you're approved for this loan, but there's no way they can spend all that money on alleviating economic injury. So I've got to do some more research because I'm not sure what all that really means. Mark, perhaps we can have a talk. The idle loans, the terms are, it's a 30-year loan. First payment is deferred at 1% interest. One notification we got was a $56,000 loan. The monthly payments were $275 a month. If you need it, it's a great source for funding. So that pretty much covers what I've got. We'd love for you to get your feedback if you would. It's right at 8 o'clock. How's that for timing?
Perfect, Andy.
Please send us an email. You know, if you want the slides, you're welcome to them. And we'll open it for questions. If you need to leave, thank you for coming this morning. I appreciate your attendance and taking the time and having breakfast with Lisa at the Zoom Cafe. And Lisa, you want to unmute people and so they can ask questions.
You know what? I think, Andy, I'll leave everyone muted, but they can unmute themselves to ask you questions.
Very cool.
Anybody?
I either did a great job or I've confused you entirely. One of the two.
I'd go with great job.
Good morning, Andy. This is Ann. Thank you. That was really amazing. Not that I understood most of it, but the first part I did. That last part that's a mystery to me.
That's why, hire a professional. Don't try this at home.
Exactly, which actually plays in a little bit to some of what I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks. So thanks for the segue.
Great. Yeah, the SBA stuff is just, like I say, and the fun thing is that it changes. Some of the IRS rulings on some of the credits and stuff, when it first came out, the IRS issued a statement on it, and then a day later they came out with a new one that totally changed the first one. And I would expect the SBA has done some of that too.
And Andy, I think you explained this. If you qualified for one of the loans, you're done, right? You can't.
No, you can get both the idle and the PPP loan. You just can't use the funding to pay the same expenses twice. You can't double dip. So you can get the idle loan and you can get the PPP loan, and you can also qualify for the credits if those apply to you. So like I said, though, hire a professional on that one. You got better things to do with your time, like go get business.
Right, exactly. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I really appreciate your doing this morning, Andy, and maybe you'll come back and explain more.
I could probably do a 30.
Scratching my head.
I can do a 30-minute segment on probably any one of those topics.
I would imagine. I would imagine. Well, thank you again, and truly, truly appreciate your doing this.
It's my pleasure.
Record, by the way.
It gave me an opportunity for me to look at my own business too while I was doing this, so it was a good thing.
Isn't that funny how it always works that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I will send you, as soon as I have it, I will send you a copy of the recording, and you can put it wherever you would like, and I will have it on my YouTube channel and my new website. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
All right.